Hello, I'm Dane, and this is Dan Explains. Something many non-Catholics are weirded up by when they first hear about it is that we believe the Eucharist, which is what we call the bread we receive at communion during Mass, is actually the body and blood of Jesus Christ. Even Protestants who practice communion themselves often find it weird as well, because the vast majority believe it's symbolic. Well, do Catholics believe the Eucharist literally becomes the flesh and blood of Christ? If so, how does it do it? Let me explain. Today I'm not going to talk about the validity of the Eucharist. That's a discussion for another video. I'm just talking about what Catholics are supposed to believe it is. And I say supposed because surveys have shown that a large percentage of even church-going Catholics essentially think of the Eucharist the same way that most Protestants do. First off, Catholics really do believe the Eucharist is Jesus' body and blood. In spite of what some Protestants like to believe, the Catholic Church didn't make up the idea a few hundred to 1,000 years ago. Ignoring the fact that Jesus stated himself that the Eucharist is his body in several places in the Bible, the earliest extra-biblical writings show Christians believed the Eucharist was Christ's flesh and blood during the Apostolic era. We don't believe it becomes a floppy piece of flesh, and with a few exceptions of what's called Eucharistic miracles, where it visibly becomes flesh and blood, usually human heart tissue, physically it appears to have the same bread and wine appearance that it always had before the Catholic priest consecrates it, which is the action the priest performs that transforms it from bread and wine to flesh and blood. Having tasted it myself, I can tell you it tastes like regular bread and wine and not flesh and blood. Not like I've tasted any human flesh, but anyone who bit their cheek or tongue knows what human blood tastes like. That transformation is called the transubstantiation, a similar idea to what Lutherans call the consubstantiation, but they're not the same thing. Since Catholics think it becomes Jesus' flesh and blood completely, there is no bread or wine left there. Lutherans believe that Jesus is truly physically there in their Eucharist, but that he is in and throughout the bread, and that's why, according to them, it keeps the bread and wine-like appearance. So what do Catholics actually believe if nothing appears to happen the vast majority of the time? Basically, Catholics believe that after the consecration, the Eucharist has the accidents. No, not those kinds of accidents. Catholics believe the Eucharist has the accidents of bread and wine, but the substance of flesh and blood. In layman's terms, what that means is it looks like bread and wine, but it's in fact Jesus' body and blood in every way except appearance. Basically, if you did all kinds of scientific tests, it would still appear to be bread and wine, but the appearance is basically a miracle covering up what its true nature is. Now most people who hear this and aren't familiar with the idea probably get an "ew" reaction. So why would we eat the Eucharist if we really thought it was Jesus' flesh and blood? Well, you've probably heard of the saying, you are what you eat. And no, I'm not implying that we become Jesus. What we do believe is that instead of Christ becoming part of our body, we are becoming part of his body. Remember from the Gospels, Jesus describes himself as the vine and that we are the branches. The branches are fed and sustained from the vine. The Eucharist is the sustenance, also described by Jesus as the food that, if you eat, will sustain you forever. Hence why the Church, and by that I mean the Catholic Church, is Jesus' body on earth. We become part of his body by participating in Catholic communion. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please press the like button, subscribe to my channel, and ding the bell to get notified when I post new videos. Also, please support me on Patreon, link in the description. The more people who support me, the more time I can dedicate to making videos like this one. So, until next time, have a great week.